that that place is part of our land. Land is either it is or it is not. It can't be a feeling, and a feeling is not then reduced into an audit. Chair.
Okay, Auditor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I want to mention that this was an issue that was even reported in the year 22-23, and there are auditors who visited that area then with the company of the water company officers. Again, you also mentioned that we from the financial statements you cannot be able to see the RAD. With your guidance, I want to mention that, like, for example, the headquarters here, where the company is located, that RAD is also not in the financial statements. So as we have put it, it is right that they have not stated any RAD there, but we expect to find some pieces of RAD in the financial statement. I mean, in the financial statements. Yeah. So thank you, Chair.
And in your part 3 of the query, you have said that the company has parcels of land meant for expansion, storage, water and sewerage treatment works. Did you have a schedule of all those lands together with these other 3 lands?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we have details of some of these areas, but we may not necessarily have a quantification of the acreage. But we know there are reservoirs, there are also the dams, there are also the sewerage. So the expectation is that the auditor would wish, or to be expected that these assets are captured somewhere in the financial statements. Or if they are owned by the county, then the county should be able to provide ownership documents, so that the auditor would be satisfied to know that even if these these assets are not captured in the company's records, as far as the ownership is concerned, they are safe with the owner, the county. Thank you.
How would the asset register of the county government show up in the Nairobi water audit? That's a different entity. If, unless it's asked for, the asset register of the county government, captures all of these properties and all our land, even if just by name. Chair, a lot of government land is not titled, including where we're in right now. This is a huge building. You don't have a title deed. There's no title deed of KICC. KICC is a huge building, a huge investment, commercial ground. All of that is what used to be called GL, government land. In fact, the only buildings there with titles is City Hall, main parliament building. Harambee House does not, and so it's because government land and public land in that time was acknowledged based on the usage and which entity has been operating it. If you look further, you'll find that Article 62 of the Constitution then provided that if there's any unalienated land that is public land, at the time of the 2010 Constitution, it then reverts and is owned by the county government. So now is when we are doing what we call, in fact, the word may not even be titling, it's what we call reservation. And it is providing a document called reservation, because now the county government, before the 2010 Constitution, the county government was a lessee. The landlord was a national government. And so you'd get a certificate of lease. But now you cannot be the lessor and the lessee. So what county governments are supposed to get is just a reservation based on the usage of that land. So on number 2 and number 3, I think first of all it's very prudent and it's very important to prevent land grabbing or loss of public land, to have a clear register of all assets owned by the government. That one there's no dispute. But who holds it is maybe where we would need direction. And I'll give you examples of land used for different purposes, but by the same entity, by the county government. If you look at the financial statements for the county government, then you will find that asset register was provided for, generally for the whole county, but not specifically for this. Kampala Road has a title deed. I don't know if it was requested for. That is the headquarters of the company. But I think the point they are making, which is important, is that it has not been mentioned in the financial statements. That one should be. They should provide for that because you must get the asset register when you're doing the audit. So at least you should see Kampala Road, you should see Runda Reservoir, Rudam, Kigiri, a few of them. They should actually be shown. And so we'll take some more time to consolidate all of these assets that are owned by the county. I think it's a very important exercise. We have a lot of correspondence between us and NLC on county land. I've been able, and I've told you this before in this committee, we were able to secure around 780 parcels that before could not be found, and not just for Nairobi Water, for the city. You know, and that was just going through the minute books. Many of them are surrenders, public surrenders. If you go to Ridgeways, if you go to Fourway Junction, and you know, somebody took us to court, and the court said actually this land belongs to the county because it came as a result of the surrender after the subdivision. So it's an exercise that we are still continuing to undertake. But the first assertion is where we have a problem. This one, I don't want to say it was guesswork, but it was it wasn't done as it should be. Yeah.
Chair, I think maybe that the Kaini thing must be looked into, because the same issue was raised in 2022, 2023 financial year.
Yeah.
And in fact, this one, the auditor said, not just one developer, developers. Meaning
they should show us. You know, Chairman, just because it's been said before doesn't make it true. You know, you can put the false assertion twice. If according to the user, the MD is here, the shareholder is here, we're saying our land has all been encroached there. Whose land has been encroached then?
Chair. Okay, proceed.
Chair, you know, the reason why it's important is that we are almost having a dispute between the county government of Nairobi and the audit. And it doesn't help with audit query.
And who?
The county government of Nairobi and the auditor, on the issue, on the substantive issue, is a dispute, right? You're disputing the auditor's comment. But I think that the reason why I raised this on governor is a very important one, so that if there is encroachment, you are a people's representative. I am a people's representative, and so are the senators here. If an issue of encroachment, then we must help you, so that it on the records it must come as such. But I think I want to invite you to your own document, the financial statement. I think it is note. Is it just a reference note? It's not a substantive note, but I'll read by page 50. Indeed, this came up. Where is that? Page 50, and it is the reference note 6.2. Can you see it? Because this is a financial document that is prepared by your officers. So it says that on supported land balance, the statement of financial position reflects property. I think I want to belabor that, because it's the same issue that it was raised in the previous year matter. But then the response here was that the Dakaini Dam, Kariobangi land and other assets owned by other parties whose ownership document had not been transferred to the company, although operated by the company, are not included in the financial statement.
That's what I said. They're owned by the
the financial statement comprises only assets owned and acquired by the company during its lifetime. However, that's where I was going. The company is assisting in the following measure to facilitate transfer of the ownership. And there are two measures that you have indicated there. So within those two measures, there is a proper surveying that is going on that is comprehensive, which we want to appreciate. And that's why I wanted to just acknowledge in writing that it is not encroached into. That can only be established subject to these two processes that are going on parallel. I don't want to belabor because they are written there. And then number two, could you also comment, Governor, on your headquarters for this company?
But what about it?
There is a title for it, right?
Yeah.
For the headquarters.
Do you have a title? Yeah, there's a title.
Is there a title? Where is headquarters? Where is it based? Where is the company based?
Industrial area.
Industrial area?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to say that there's a title for that. So then we let the matter rest, so long as it is indicated by the county government that it's not encroached into. That's all I wanted.
You see what the point we're raising here? For instance, the headquarters of the title deed, but the title deed is City Council of Nairobi. That is county property. The county owns the company. So what we've said is that there is no need for us to transfer assets owned by the county. The county is provided for in the constitution. It's an entity that will never cease to exist. The company, the shareholders can dissolve it. That's why it is safer to keep your assets under the county government. The county government is established by the constitution. The water company was created by, it's a private company owned by a public entity. It is Nairobi Water Limited. It has shareholders. In fact, the first shareholder was Joe Akech, Mbugwa, the town clerk, and then the county government. Today, if you were to call an AGM of Nairobi Water, it's 3 of us here. That's the AGM. The county government owns 90%. How many? 98%. The governor owns 1. The CC 1. That's the AGM. So you can meet and you dissolve it. What happens to those assets? Or transfer to him. That is why the assets are vested in this. Remember, according to the law, counties are corporate entities. The county government is a corporate entity. The national government is not a corporate entity. That's why the national government vests their ownership into the only incorporated ministry, which is finance. So you find the CS National Treasury is one who holds title documents and whatnot. But a county government is a corporate entity. So Nairobi Water is a private company owned by a public entity. And that is how it was registered. Chair.
Chair, I wanted to say something so that, if it makes sense, so now this audit query can be resolved, especially the one on the encroachment. I believe when the dam was being built, there was an acquisition and compensation.
Yes.
So maybe those are the documents that then the county government needs to look for as the lies with the with the National Land Commission, Minister of Lands, and themselves to do the final survey and get a title. And then that is the time, then they'll know what was acquired 1997 or whatever is less than what was acquired at that time. Then it can become an audit query. So we leave it at that instead of basically belaboring and the county government saying no land has been encroached.
I don't mean to cut you, but there's a very serious issue. Yes. There, Governor. You see, this was a prior issue that kept on coming, and the issue of encroachment has been addressed before, even by the management. You see, and the reason why it's becoming a dispute between you and the auditor is because the auditor is certain that the land has been encroached. You are certain that the land has not been encroached.
No, and that's why the auditor is not certain. If you have, they say they feel.
It's fine, but you see, these are matters of record. The documents are here, and this is why I referred you to that note, because it was a management comment on your financial documents, and that management comment. Let me just read for you the one so I can finish this for once and for all. In 2023-2024 budget, Nairobi City Water and Sewage Company budgeted for surveying and titling of Dakaini. These are management comments. Dam. The exercise is being undertaken by multi-sectorial committee comprising the Ministry of Land, Nairobi City County Government, and the company. This exercise is meant to address issues of ownership and encroachment. This was on a financial statement, acknowledging that there's an issue of encroachment.
Oh,
but in response,
you do it.
Just wait, go on. Let me just finish. I know you want us to conclude on this. I also want us to conclude on this because I don't want it to be an issue that will tie us in the future. So because in your financial statement, there was an acknowledgement to that fact, okay? And now in your response, because this is what was audited.
Now, Senator, when you say that you want to address, how do I put it? If we have policemen here addressing security, does it mean we have been attacked? When you're addressing ownership and encroachment, is to prevent any encroachment that can occur. That's why we title public property.
I agree with you, fairly. I agree with you, Governor.
And remember, in 29 years, since the land was acquired in 1994, in 29 years, there's never been any process towards that.
Yeah.
After that audit issue in 22-23 is when I directed in 23-24 that the process of surveying and titling begin. And even once we survey it, it will be titled under the Nairobi City County Government, not Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company. It will be under the Nairobi City County Government.
So, Governor, we agree and we need to move forward on this.
Yeah, so what's the question? I don't
know. A situation whereby the survey has been done. Yeah. And I don't want you to see us you are counter each other. You are a people's representative. In as much as this is a company that is cooperated as a county government. In a situation whereby surveying has been done, and then the land that is apportioned to the company is the land where there is a recreational facility.
Of course.
What happens?
I'll kick them out.
You see, then
I won't need the
Senate. They'll be justified.
No, I won't need the Senate. You don't do audit.
Okay.
You don't do audit statements through guesswork. It is either the land has been grabbed or not. For you to determine where it has been grabbed, in fact, it would have been better to say they don't have enough information to ascertain whether indeed any part of the county's land has gone. You don't do it that way. And once if we determine anybody, Chair, I evict people every day in this city. If you're on county land illegally, we'll kick you out.
Chair, this rate, I think we did like 3 days.
I don't know, we're taking so much time, Chair, on this, and it's straightforward.
Actually, Eddie, you will be very useful to us because you are the chair of the lands committee. You deal with all issues of land, like these ones.
No, I'm transport.
Pick it up.
I am transport, housing, and.
I want to assure you.
Oh, you are transport.
I'm not in land.
I want to assure you
I'm scared of land.
The county government of Nairobi does not need any help in securing its land. We are known. We go in and we secure the interests of the people of Nairobi, 100%.
Yeah, but the other thing that I think auditor should let you know, you saw the other elephant in the house is the PFM.
Yes.
Where it is very clear that entities like water, hospitals are now being taken, and even cities and municipalities, they are now being taken as separate financial reporting entities. And they are raising queries even on land that is owned by the county government, but in the name of a hospital. Or no, the land that the hospitals sit on, but it's in the name of the county government. It's still an audit query.
No, that one
because of that provision.
That one is wrong. I think that law needs to be looked at, because the whole essence of titling is to secure the ownership and to avoid, is to protect the land. Which entity is stronger to protect land? A private company or a government? Of course, a hospital or a government? A government. The process of, that law we need to look at. Because if the essence is to protect that asset is safer under a government entity. Actually under the government itself. That's my opinion, Chair.
Okay, I think that's a very important issue for our discussion, report writing. So let's proceed to the next query, which I said is trade and other receivables.
I hope that this is the last one, Chair.
No. You still have two more. You still have two more. That's why I warned you from the word go, that you will be here. Okay, trade and other receivables.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Trade and other receivables. The statement of financial position reflects trade and other receivables balance of Kenya shillings 3 billion 577,606,734, which as disclosed in Note 21 to the financial statements reflects a gross receivables balance of Kenya shillings 10 billion 939,650,210. Included in this balance is Kenya shillings 8 billion 583,219,658, which has been outstanding for more than 120 days, out of which Kenya shillings 7 billion 306,530,930 was outstanding for over 480 days. Management did not provide measures put in place to pursue the debtors and recover the amounts receivable by the company. In the circumstances, the accuracy, completeness, and full recoverability of the outstanding debts, totaling Kenya shillings 3 billion 577 million 606,734, could not be confirmed.
Governor, your response?
Thank you, Chairman. The company has created 2 new regions to assist in management of trade receivables, amongst other matters, and also implemented GIS platform capable of capturing billing and debt status of all accounts. This will enhance meter management and assist in debt collection. Further, the company is engineering the business process to enhance debt collection. We have also tasked staff to authenticate debt above 480 days and liaise with the legal section for issuance of demand letters as per attached sample, and I've attached the demand letters. So, Chair, it's really, you know, the people who owe us, like the example I gave you. And if you look at the attachment, we have used lawyers to demand for payment for outstanding debts from water and sewerage services. Maybe the finance director can expound on that and the MD.
Finance Director? The sergeant at arms disappeared.
May talk.
Thank you, Excellency. Chairman, what we have done is we are leveraging on Know Your Customer. That's why we have created 2 additional units. We have enhanced, we are leveraging on GIS technology. We are reviewing even how we are doing the meter reading and debt collection. We have put in place a monitoring unit, specifically revenue monitoring unit. So you'll have a separate team doing meter reading, a separate team doing revenue collection, and a separate team, not based in the region, based in HQ, that will be monitoring the activities of meter reading and debt collection. Then we have a credit control team in every region, and their task is to authenticate, particularly the debts above 480 days, because those are the ones that would affect the statement of comprehensive income. Thank you.
Auditor, your comments on the response?
Well, thank you, Honorable Chair. Management provided a few copies of the demand letters. However, there is no evidence of the much that has been collected from the outstanding receivables from the measures that have been put. Thank you.
Yes, Governor, I noticed that the demand letters are to individuals and not to institutions. The amount is too huge, 7.3 billion. So maybe we can be told about institutions which owe you money. So this committee can look for ways of helping you.
Yes, we can provide the list. The demand letters were not just to individuals, also to institutions. This is just a sample of the demand letters.
Maybe we can find out also from the MD. One of the institutions actually would be the person sitting next to the MD and the hospitals.
Thank you so
Maybe
much.
they're not paying.
Thank you so much through the chair. Some of the institutions which are actually owe us as money, we had discussed before in one of the queries, auditor's query. Example, water service providers in Kiambu, who was over 550 million shillings. We have the military, who was 109. We have the prisons, We have the various ministries actually. Of course, the county government also. Our father also hosts us a bit. Okay, so these institutions you can be provided with the list, but key is the public primary schools who have no money to pay. I'm emphasizing on that. No, baba mtoto itishangi baba. No, but you see here, wewe baba yako mwitishangi.
He will look at it and give you. You're not getting a news bite of that.
How much is Governor Sakaja owing you?
No, that's what I've said. You don't disclose what your father owes you.
No. This is not you. It's the company.
Anyway, I'll check. Then I'll
You know the shareholders can meet and waive it.
So what we need is
Can make that date.
what we need is actually the parliament to see how the schools' capitations can go up to pay for their services. We have engaged the Minister of Education on that. We have written letters to the ministry asking them to facilitate the primary schools. I've said about the military also. I think yesterday I was talking even to primary schools. Military, they are. We were discussing yesterday with one of their senior generals about our payments. Then we have the prisons. Prisons is the allocations which are not enough. And you can imagine Muguna waking up and disconnecting water in committee or industrial demand is like actually more or less like sabotaging the government itself. So we need you to assist us, those institutions, to be allocated money in the budget.
So what you do, you provide us with the list and the amount each of those people owe you.
Those ones we can provide the Auditor General.
Yeah,
and
but
the demand letters.
But excluding the hospitals, because the hospitals are now paying. They were not paying before because of FIF. In most counties, hospitals are now able to pay their bills, water bills.
Yes.
I don't know whether that is the case.
That's okay. All the county hospitals are paying direct.
Yeah, so you give us a list and then we will write to those. We will become debt collectors for you.
We have even written actually to WASREP itself, the regulator, to see how they can assist us in some of those institutions.
Okay. So why we are saying that? Because you know the query on material uncertainty. What it simply means is that you have a negative working capital. That is, your current liabilities are more than current assets. So if we can knock off this 7.3 billion, that will help you in addressing that query. So let's proceed to the query on material uncertainty in relation to going concern. Auditor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Material uncertainty in relation to going concern. The statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income reflects a loss of Kenya shillings 118,067,920 and prior year adjustment of Kenya shillings 587,865,536 reflected in the statement of changes in equity, which decreased the revenue reserves from a negative balance of Kenya shillings 2,788,895,138 as at that of June 2023 to a negative balance of Kenya shillings 3,494,828,594 as at that of June 2024. Further, the company's current liabilities balance of Kenya shillings 6,016,217,650 exceeded its current assets balance of Kenya shillings 4,354,828,003, resulting to a negative working capital of Kenya shillings 1,661,389,647. In the circumstances, The company is technically insolvent and may not be able to meet its current obligations as and when they fall due. Thank you.
Governor, your response?
Chair, the company operates and maintains assets that are not in the financial statements, as we just discussed. These assets consist of major water installations, dams, water and sewer networks, and also lands and some vehicles, contrary to the Water Act as Section 152, 53, 55, 56, where it was envisaged that the assets be transferred to water service providers, but has not done to date. In addition, the current tariff is not a full cost recovery tariff. The company is in the process of applying for a new tariff and is engaging WASREP for approval of a new tariff that is cost recovery and responsive to inflation. We're also putting mechanisms to improve revenue. As we demonstrated, our billings and receipts continue to improve year on year. Last year we had this past financial year we've had a record revenue collection of close to 12 billion. The previous year also was a record, more than ever collected before. When I became governor, we were still around, is it 8 billion. But I sat with them and gave them monthly targets and whatever is required for them to collect. And that's why we keep, hitting those records. This matter is really a nominal, it's a nominal issue. Because if we were to just move assets there, then you'll be operating on surplus, just for the sake of the books. So it's the books, it's not the reality of the company. The company is doing well. The company pays its salaries, pays its obligations. So it's a matter of financial reporting, if I'm to put it that way. We've discussed the issue of the assets that are not in the financial statements, that are owned by the company's shareholder, The issue of the Water Act, I think, as we review the entire Act, we might want to look at Section 152, 153, and 155. Maybe that one would need to change. But the company has never been unable to meet current obligations. Now, for as long as you have not connected everybody to water and to sewer, there is no other service provider that can operate on a profit. Because the money that is collected is not for profit, it's to extend. It all is plowed back. The company does not issue dividends to its shareholders. Every amount made is to be plowed back to continue connecting those who are underserved, to improve efficiency, to increase the sewer network. And remember where we started from. Chair, Nairobi had only 4 sources of water that we've now been able to increase. It had Kikuyu Springs, built by the colonialists in 1906 to around 1910. That one gives us 6,000 cubic meters. We then moved to Ruiru Dam, which was built in 1928 again to add the capacity of water. After that, we went to 1956, Asumwa, that gives us 60 million liters a day. After that is when we did Ndakaine, 1994 to 97, that gives us 84% of our water. But all of that combined was producing 525.6 million liters for Nairobi, against a demand of 900 million liters per day. Now, until you bridge that gap, there's no profit you're going to make. So now we've completed the Northern Collector 1 and Karemenu, that has added 140 million liters per day. So the deficit has gone down. In fact, Nairobians will tell you of improved water delivery in these last 2 years that we've been in office. Areas that were never getting water, before, are now getting water. If you go to Mihango, if you go to parts of Utawala, if you go to parts of Ruai Ward, Njiru, Karen, in fact, Karen, of all places that never had water, most of it from us. Now they're receiving. People's pipes are now bursting even because they've never had any water in. So it's a continuous exercise. If you go to Lenana School area and the Ngando area, they now have water. It's never been seen. In fact, Langata, look at Royal Park area, Sun Valley. Langata first has increased amount. And if you, once you complete a project that we're doing right now, where we've done a pipeline that runs across Bomas into Langata to take water by gravity, then you'll have finished a historical problem. As a child, I grew up in this city. Langata never had water, but it's something we're solving. So there are many examples that I can give you, Current Plains, Ololua Ridge, KCB, and we still need to bridge that gap. So what I've been able to do, Chair, which is another area you must help countries to be able to get external financing directly. Because I've been able to get support from development partners to the tune of $100 million that will help us do Northern Collector 2 and Maragua 4. If we do Northern Collector 2 and Maragua 4, we'll add another 220 million liters a day. Look at the gap that we'll have concluded. So Northern Collector 2, Maragua 4, and then the last one, which is more internal, is what we call the reverse backwash system. In Ngedu Dam, where we have a water treatment, we lose 30 million liters a day through the filtration process. So my engineers have designed what we call a reverse backwash system that will add another 30 million liters. So that comes to 250 million. In my first term as governor, I'll have increased 220 million plus 140 million liters. But until those are concluded, you're not making a profit, because the entity, you call it what? Raison d'etat. The reason why this company exists is to meet a need. So every extra shilling we get is to be plowed. Now, I have gotten the support of that $100 million, but it is taking long because it needs the national treasury. I cannot deal with it myself, with that government. They have indicated willingness, but you need the national treasury to come and undertake, that to guarantee that that loan can be given. Yet Nairobi Water is a company that many people would want to invest in. In fact, it's one of the company that would be easily listable on the stock exchange, because you must think of other ways of financing it beyond just our location and the money we collect from bills. So, Chair, that is where we are. On paper, it might look insolvent, but it is not, because of the practicality of one, where the assets are vested, the assets are owned by the county government, and number two, on the fact that you still must keep expanding. There is no water service company worth its salt in a big city globally that has its documents looking rosy in that manner, because you must still keep increasing, you're spreading your footprint. So, Chair, let me leave it at that. I think I've given a very long answer. But what is happening is the same as well as with the sewer that I had expressed earlier. As you increase water, 75% of that capacity must be sewer. And so you find we have a deficit. That is why when we've done this, the one along the river, I insisted on 1.8 by 2.4, because what it does, it then will cover the capacity for the next 50 years for Nairobi along those corridors. So we must keep thinking ahead and making such investments, Chair.
Okay, Auditor, your comments on the response?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. As far as the governors, the comments are concerned, as far as the deficit is concerned, that would be a good response. But with regard to the negative working capital, I think even if we were to recognize those assets, they would not form part of current assets. So the liquidity position cannot be impacted by recognition of those assets. So I think the county and the company needs to do something on the status of the current liabilities and the current assets.
Which is part of what will help us with as we collect our debt. If one ministry gives us 120 million, another entity, the schools, 148 million, that will help us with our cash flow. But for as long as you're serving, and remember, even with non-revenue water, there are many people who the city is offering a service, There are people who we give water and we will not charge. Many times when you offer water, when you take water through our bowsers to the slums, they can't afford to buy that water. But as a city, how do you not serve your people? So there's what, and I wanted us to work on something that started with this World Bank, I think some years ago, the social connection policy. The social connection policy then removes the profit imperative, to those who actually just need to be served, to prevent, you know, cholera, and to prevent. It's a public health issue where the city actually needs to protect its citizens without necessarily only thinking about the profit that it's going to make from taking water to Kibera or Madare, or to, you know, children's homes and such entities that will not be able to pay for it. Chair.
Okay, very well. Actually, Governor, what you have explained so well addresses matters of the balance sheet.
Yes.
That some aspects are not included in the statements because of the way you have organized your asset. But the bigger issue here is the working capital, yes, which I want to agree with you that it will be resolved once you deal with the issue of long outstanding receivables. Because long outstanding receivables are 7.3, and the assets are 4.3 against the liability of 6 billion. So that can be covered in there. Yeah, that can be covered in there. But for the profitability again, is the issue of profit and loss, which is a issue of revenue versus expenses. So if the expenses are more than revenue, you will still have a loss. Yeah, and if you look at further pages, then you see the issue of wage bill. The wage bill is there. So quite a number of stuff to be done. But anyway, members, you are free to weigh in. Senator Kisang.
Chair, I don't have anything. You know, he has explained very well that, you know, these water service providers, they are non-profit entities. Theirs is to serve the communities, and if there is an extra penny, they continue investing. This I'm happy to report that I've been in Ghana for the last 20 years, and for close to 18 years, we used to buy water from water pullers every time. But for the last 1.5 years or so, we were surprised in the morning there was water in the pipes twice a week. And the only problem that you have produced more, and you have also increased your non-revenue water because most of our pipes are also busting. Yeah, but you see, there is something that was said that you have what Kenya Power has done. I don't know if you can do it because you have some people who the debt collectors and the credits. You know, there is something that Kenya Power has done in the last 2 years or so. They dedicate one day for these inspectors or the debt collectors to go around. You know, it's easy for them to go to especially offices. You see, even our homes, we have bells on the gate, we have gardeners and maybe also house helps in the houses. So if your people could move around, leave a demand not there, and then don't leave it until that for 80 days. You know, at least every 90 days, push to demand, and then once you can also do a list of shame in the papers. Yeah.
Any other issue, Senator Eddy?
Chair, I think I hear the governor on the liabilities versus assets, but I think that the growing negative revenue reserve is concerning because it has grown from 2 billion to 3 billion. And indicative the fact that the working capital is not looking neat. And for me, the biggest response is not even on the, the receivables definitely needs to look at, but I think that the issue on revenue water, which is something we should address, of 51%, which is almost that amount, about 8.5 billion, is a big concern. Because even if you are to add the assets and the negative working capital, you just get about 9 billion.
which means that if the non-revenue water was to be dealt with drastically, it can deal with the entire issue of that cash flow problem. But the reason why it's difficult to address, because I'm getting the governor is echoing more and more that he is comfortable with the idea that public institutions do not need to pay him. He cannot put pressure on them to pay him. You know, he together with the MD, the governor has talked about the the schools within Nairobi not being able to pay. And he cannot cut water connections to these places or not supply. He has talked about the military not being able to pay or not paying, not being able is one thing and not paying is another. And I think that, Governor, this one, I don't think you should get comfortable with at all. I think this is whereby this committee can be able to actually help you, because I am certain beyond doubt that when you look at the Ministry of Defense budget, it will be ridiculous to think that they don't budget for water. So by us being comfortable that, you know, NCW does not need to get its fair share from this national government entity that are supposed to pay them, is actually enabling those other people to enjoy a budget that they're supposed to give you. So for me, the question is, how do we reduce this non-revenue water that is coming from a commercial side? I do understand if it is a fiscal loss, whereby infrastructure has led to, you know, some kind of losses because of some bursting pipes, or because maybe the planning was going here and there was site construction in some part of your pipes, and then they broke. That I understand, and I think it's still avoidable. But for commercial losses, you're billing people, they're not paying you because they're national government entities. Governor, we have talked a number of times, and you saw when we were fighting for money to come to counties the other day, that there is underfunding of counties, but there is also defunding counties. Where does defunding counties come from, Governor? It comes in instances where, because of this commercial operation between you and the counties and the national government, where they have got legal responsibility to pay you for something that they're giving, when they don't pay for them and they've got the ability and they're building their budgets, it becomes a defunding function. It's defunding the pressure of counties. So for me, the non-revenue water emanating from commercial losses, especially by big entity, must involve, a national government must be able to pay those services. Because if they don't, they're Governor, look at it this way. Where you're not able to pay, where you're not able to receive your payment that is rightfully due to your entities, you'll be forced to budget for some form of grant to enable cash flow in these companies. The money you're budgeting is taken from the allocation that is done by the vertical share, right? So then you're funding a function that has given national government service, and yet they give us little money to give you when we're looking for the vertical share. I think this is a fight that we must take on, COG and us.
Very nice, very nice.
Because it doesn't make sense.
On non-revenue water, which is the next one. Yes. So any other comment?
That's the biggest response to that.
Any other comment on non-revenue water?
matters, approximately 51% of the total used with a sale price of Kenya shillings 8 billion, 570 million, 397,585, and Kenya shillings 9.790 per cubic meter, which is the average sale price for the year under review, presents the non-revenue one, which is over and above the allowance of 5% as provided by Schedule B for water service regulatory board regulations. In the circumstances, the company possibly lost an estimated amount of Kenya shillings 5,449,035, about 51% non-revenue.
Governor, your response?
The response is quite long. It includes the
Okay, maybe for the sake of the members, you have the table in your response. Yes. Just read out the other text. But make difference.
the 6 pages. Issues and the consultants and we look at the challenges, the demand gap, water practices, then the infrastructure will strain, which I can touch on a bit, and then the commercial assets too. There's infrastructure, then commercialization of water and rural settlements, network. Then I've listed some of the projects we're undertaking.
Maybe what you can do is that you adapt the written response and then you comment on the response.
So maybe just to say that we're not comfortable in the way we keep doing this money. The example I gave of schools is the fact that you cannot disconnect with primary schools. And our schools are huge population, 6,000 children, 5,000 children. In fact, for many of them, I've gone further to build programs for many of the schools. I think we've done now quite a number to provide out the water, but we continue to build. One particular one which was very sad was Makina, primary. Well, we had to go close to 400 people. Now the problem in Nairobi is that during the last administration, there was more or less like a race to impress the president that time. So they wanted to build 100 boreholes, 100 boreholes in 100 days. They got boreholes. In hydrological sample, you don't know. In fact, the water administration limits recommended level of fluoride is on 1.5 parts per million. Now you find a lot of the boreholes in Eastlands, this side of Nairobi, go way beyond that. Meaning the level of fluoride that we're exposing our children and communities too is very unhealthy. It will lead to brittle bones, it will lead to issues with the teeth, etc. But that notwithstanding, for us, there's the element of serving those who are underserved. You'll find non-revenue water through those schools, through water tankers going to the informal settlements, and we've we explained that you still need to provide that service. Now, for government entities that owe us, we are very keen they must pay. In fact, that is why I have the table. I've had a discussion with the Minister for Finance, the CS, and told them that they need to ensure that these entities budget for that payment. Same as payment of land rates or silo, contribution in lieu of rates. Many entities are paying. Many government agencies are paying. What we've highlighted are the ones who are not paying. And as the MD has said, even as recently as yesterday, he's been in discussion with them to make sure that they're able to pay what they owe. Now, another thing I must point out before handing over to the MD the amount of non-revenue water technically will always seem higher than it is for as long as you have not filled the water demand. If you don't have enough water in the pipe, if you don't have enough water flowing, you find that a lot of time you're measuring air, not even the water that you think that you're producing. So the amount is higher. But when the pipe is full, even the SCADA technology can measure it more appropriately. If it is not, it is trying to measure the flow. If I'm to take this bottle, this is how the pipe is. So if the pipe is like this, and you're measuring flow, you're measuring a lot of air. You know, so it's never an accurate measure until we get to that 900 million liters per day and above. But still there is loss. So there is loss based on all infrastructure. For instance, in the CBD, the networks in the CBD were built many, many years ago, in the 40s and 50s. Now what we're doing, because we did an analysis of how much it would cost for us to redo the pipelines across the city. And we looked at, I think, 2 or 3 areas. It was so expensive. The one in the CBD, we have a program now that is costing 1.6 billion. How much is it? 1.6 billion. It's something called, do you call it disheveling or? The seething. We can call it seething. Oh, so a pipe is put into the current network, and you put a sieve to actually seal that one which was there earlier, the older one. Just for CBD is costing 1.7 billion shillings. So the company definitely will not be able to afford the bigger infrastructural interventions that are required for the physical losses on non-revenue water. But this one that we're doing in the CBD will help us now save 2,000 cubic meters per hour, you know, once it is concluded. And then now once we progress on that one, we shall go to the next one. So it's a continuous process. There's no one who will tell you they'll finish non-revenue water in a year or just by one intervention. It is not there. So this is one of those things that will always come up as an audit query, you know. And there is no country that has no non-revenue water, by the way. I think the best in the region must be Kampala. And the reason why Kampala, Uganda, has good non-revenue water numbers is because of the terrain, you know, because it is hilly. So the water is actually flowing where it is needed. And then they will give you more details around that. I had already explained the issue of the high demand gap, the need for 900 cubic meters a day, 900,000 cubic meters a day, or 900 million liters, contrasting it with now we are at 600 and 657 to be exact million liters per day. And we really want to bridge that final gap, which we can do. I've given you the example of the financing from Korea. Irregular consumer water practices, that shows you what we call illegal connections. A lot of these illegal connections, and we've been working with what we call the water police to arrest it. People are just unscrupulous. I went to, where were we, on Airport North Road, and we found a lady who was a kiosk, what looks like a kiosk. But inside, she has 16 pumps. You know, it's a pumping station. She has infiltrated our pipeline, going towards past city cabanas. 16 pumps underground. She's supplying water to apartments on that area. And she's also supplying electricity. So she is Kenya Power and Nairobi Water in one, you know. And so there are many such instances. But people will tell you that you've seen fewer water bowsers, because before it was those cartels who would, you know, do artificial shortages and then bring in the bowsers. So for us, the illegal connections. For instance, I'll give you an example of Kibra, where we've had to concretize a big part of the pipeline to stop the infiltration, but while at the same time providing water in a social way for the people of Kibra, because they also need water. But we're giving them, and now they're much happier than they were before. And that is the biggest reason why Langata was not getting water. Because not only is it on a higher terrain, it's going uphill from Kibra, but also the infiltration on the lines. Now we've done the Kungu-Karumba Road pipeline on that side, and this other one through Bomas. The issue had been waived with KWS. That has been resolved. Another issue is the meter under registration. As a result of the intermittent water supply, the highest infrastructural strain is induced on water meters. We use volumetric, velocity, and Waltman turbine type mechanical meters. With a few, the key installations are what we've put, where we've put smart meters. You know, a few of those smart meters. So during low flow supply periods, Chairman, it's what I was trying to explain even using this. When water flow in the meter is not full bore, not fully in the pipe, water seeps through the meter without filling the measuring chamber in volumetric meters or moving the impeller in velocity, and Waltman turbine meters, and hence is not registered. So the water is consumed by the consumers but not billed by NCWSC, because it has flown, it has passed through without creating a, how do I put it, without being measured, really, you know, but we've produced it. So the numbers you have from our production capacity at our water treatment shows you that we've produced this amount. Because of low pressure and it's not full bore, as I showed you, the water then seeps through and gets to the consumer in some of those areas. So that's why we need to do quite some level of infrastructure interventions on our water line. The measures to deal with NRW, I will ask the MD to continue and take you through.
MD.
And by that low number I told you of Uganda is 26%? 28%. And that's the lowest, you know, that we have in the region due to that terrain.
No, Malindi has 16%.
But you can't compare.
Anyway, it's not comparable to
It's a small place. But anyway, I mean, that's good for them, that they've been able to achieve that.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you so much, members.
Be on record.
Actually, the lowest non-revenue water in Kenya is in Nyeri water. Back 1997, GTZ was doing a feasibility study in the country to see how to reduce non-revenue water. And they chose four water companies: Nyeri, Kericho, Erondoret, and the Meru water, where all the old infrastructures were discarded and new infrastructures were installed in those four towns. Today, they are the only towns which boast of low non-revenue water of 25%, because the infrastructure is new. No physical leak, the illegal connections were discarded in their own pipes, new connections were done to the customers. Now, here in Nairobi, what actually is being done to address non-revenue water by the county government, national government, through the Water Service Board, is what the governor spoke about, receiving or retrieving the pipes. And when you are doing that exercise, you will be crossing the existing water connections and illegal water connections and all the leaks. Then you do new connections to every property afresh. When you do that, CBD alone, you will be able to save around 2,000 cubic meters per hour. Because according to our measurements, we lose around 2,000 cubic meters per hour on commercial losses, just like what Senator Edwin said. And those things, that non-revenue water commercial losses, sometimes, many years back, water for firefighting in buildings used to be free. Buildings used to have a connection free to firefight in those buildings. Those connections, nobody knows where they are. And with the time, people change them to be their normal water supply lines. But you cannot be able to trace them unless I excavate the whole road trying to trace those connections. The solution is that sieving or retrieving the pipes.
Okay. I will not be surprised when we do it. You'll find even government offices with they will be complaining there is no water before their connections are done. I will give you an example. Intercontinental Hotel was discovered back, I think 2008, 8-inch connection, which was giving water without any meter. You can go to this cooperative building. We call it what? Afia House. Afia House actually in, I think 2015 or 2018, 6-inch, no connection firefighting system. You can go to our own assembly. We discovered the other day they did not have a meter also. They were using the firefighting connection for the whole city, which we metered. So once we do those reshielding, we will end all that problem and we'll solve some of those problems. Now, this work is being funded by AFD under credit 1135. Then this Korean government also want to fund Apail, South B, South C, and the Kriman area. They have already done a feasibility study. They want to fund it through Anglant themselves, to do it themselves through Anglant. Yeah. Then meters, as the governor said, when you have raw pressures, meters don't turn. The water just goes in, and particularly those people who have underground tanks, the water just goes in and goes into the tank. Then you pump the water, we don't get the water, any revenue. The way the meters are manufactured, from 2-inch, the meters, the transducer or the turbine is placed on top, and it is at the veins at 3/4 of the pipe. So if the water does not reach 3/4, it can't turn the veins. It becomes unleavened water. Okay. So all these problems we have, they are compounded. You are the people who can assist us, allocate money to do some of these water sources. It is not a lot of money. I don't know why you cry, you don't have water. Our sales are here. But the money required is not a lot of money. If you allocate 8 billion every year for 5 years, it'll make Nairobi get adequate water up to 2032. The two projects the governor was talking about, they don't require a lot of money as many people may think. It's just 67 billion. So if you allocate 18 billion in 4 or 5 years, you will resolve that problem.
Now, while at that point of money and revenue water, in your response, I've come across a very important point. You said Sureka Consultants, which was done in 2016, they studied in Nairobi non-revenue water scenario and devised regional action plans to reduce non-revenue water from 40.35% to 18.5% at a cost of 2.8 billion shillings without pipe replacement as option number one, and 5.7 billion shillings with pipe replacement. So I was wondering then, you just need 2.3 billion or at a higher level, 5.7 billion to resolve the non-revenue water problem in Nairobi. Is that the case? So that now it goes below 25%.
Thank you so much. The report is actually attached. It is in, I think, the link. This is a bulking document. The 2.8 billion and the 5.4 billion, that is to solve non-revenue water in 2 regions. Nairobi is divided into 9 regions. Now, they stand in Langata, which is a part of Kebla constituency and Langata constituency, and then Loisambo, which is Loisambo constituency, and this one goes all the way to Kawest. Yes,
that constituency. Those are the two constituencies which were standing to use 5.3 or 4 billion shillings. At the current rate, it goes to 9 billion.
Your table is talking about 6 regions.
No, it's a full, it's 2
It's
regions.
talking about central, eastern, northeastern, northerner, southerner, westerner. If you look at your table keenly,
This is the overall. I think I have it here.
It's around 9 billion.
Yes, 9 billion.
But
This was in 2016.
but still 9 billion, if you look at the long outstanding receivable, is at 7 billion. So why can't you start from there? And
If we receive the receivables, if we receive those receivables, we can do this. This is it's very important for the city. Remember, we have the oldest water infrastructure in the country, which is why those numbers are high. And at that time it was 40, now it has gone up because of the gap of the water. But you're right.
That's not fair because there's no money. But I think that MD there are adventurous ways with which you can deal with this duality of a problem, and I think that because of the challenge that we're talking about, you are also escaping those other administrative actions that you can be able to take to be able to make sure that first of all your receivables, you know, are constructed a little bit. But also, just in terms of tracking your non-revenue, I think you can also do a better job. Because I think that if you're also not careful, then you can end up blaming all this to physical losses, when in the middle of this entire conversation, we've also seen a number of opportunities for commercial losses, including billing problems. Purely billing issues, you know, that could be also a recipe for corruption. And I'm not saying you, but your officers, right? There could be deliberate leakages that are happening in terms of revenue as a result of deliberate non-billing that is happening because of those lack of commercial practices. So, for instance, the issue that the chair is talking about, the issue of the receivables that you have, we have hugely focused on the bigger institutions. But I'm not even seeing, have you been able to even circularize the debts? Because if you're able to circularize the debts, then immediately you do circular debt sizing in a way that then allows, at any given time, your balances to, when you're closing them and when you're opening them, then they balance out slowly but gradually. Then you can be able to deal with your receivables, especially on non-institutional customers. The more you circularize, the better off you become in terms of collection. So I'm seeing an issue of collection that is independent to the issue of, you know, I'm doing my maths here, but perhaps this is not the right forum to put it. But almost 4 billion is being lost on that just issue of collection and billing, which is a more an administrative issue and a commercial loss that is not focused on the dilapidated pipes or just ineffective infrastructure. So there's a lot of issue around there, collection, billing, proper handling of receivables, which is, I wanted to know that you have circularized them in a way that actually can be able to enhance some revenue coming in. I don't think it's purely an issue of I do appreciate the issue of infrastructure because we've talked about this in a number of all the water companies we have checked on. But I think for you, there's a leakage of resources that are coming from billing, from the issue of collection and billing, and that's the acceleration of the receivables.
Actually, maybe moving forward, Nairobi Water, you need, in your responses, you need to be telling us what proportion of non-revenue water is commercial loss, and what proportion is physical loss.
And even donation, because the governor might also choose to donate to other schools. But under commercial losses, under commercial losses, go a little bit deeper and delve in those collection issues, billing issues, receivable complexities. Those three would give us a good read on how we can be able to help reduce the amount of revenue you're losing there.
Any other issue?
Thank you so much, through the chairman, again. Thank you so much, Senator, for what you have pointed out. Actually, if you go through the Sureka report, it has brought up all those issues. The commercial losses are 70%. Technical losses are 30%. Okay. So, but you see here, the commercial losses is not water which goes the soil in our cases. Yeah. It's water theft, yes, which goes into our berries, and we don't beat it. And that's why we are talking about, for you to address it, like in Nairobi, in the CBD, you must retrieve the pipes, so that now you cross all illegal connections. It's actually illegal connections. If you go to areas where we have been using the police force, the water police unit, just like what the governor was talking about, is illegal connections where we are steering purposely as citizens. So I agree with what you are saying.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot at all, but I want you to appreciate that where there is water theft, is both a demand and supply problem. Where there could be water theft because of illegal connections, or even the access issue which we addressed previously, but there's also possibility of non-billing, where somebody is billing and not delivering the revenue. You must acknowledge that also happens. It's a supply issue. Somebody could be billing, because look at your wage bill component, and I've looked at it. That wage bill is about 65%, which is about double what WASREB recommends. But if you look at it, the personnel infrastructure there is huge, right? So it doesn't make any sense to just blame the illegal connection. There is a possibility that collection also is not being done properly, or is being done and not delivered. I'm not saying that it happens, but I think it's a possibility that you also need to look at that demand-supply problem.
Thank you so much again, through the chairman. It's not an exchange, Your Honor.
Then again,
what I want to put across our system, billing system, you cannot tamper with data. The way we read the meters, you can't tamper with data. We use the telephones to read the meter, and it sends the data direct to the server. There is no human intervention. Collection, likewise, we don't carry cash in our company. We don't touch cash. It's you to go and pay to the bank, to our accounts. Within the company, we don't deal with the cash at all. So issues of corruption on payments cannot arise unless you, as a customer, bribes our staff and tell him, don't disconnect me. But we will come there.
But it will not leave the system.
Yes, the money will not leave the system.
Leave the system.
Okay. Are we together there? The money will not percolate out of the system.
Okay, Amida?
So, I recall, CEO, the non-revenue of 51% was mentioned. So then I was just wondering, the country is looking into getting into more volumes of water, into the network. But then at 51%, isn't that, like putting water into a leaking bucket?
The higher the volume, the less the non-revenue. Some of what I explained was a lot of the water is not billed because of low volume.
Yes.
So if it's low volume and you're showing them a bottle, water will pass without moving the
Turbines.
the turbines. You know, that is a possibility. Actually, that happens, you know. But when you're full bore, meaning your pipes are completely full, you can even employ now what we call the SCADA technology in some areas, and the SCADA will be able to tell us, and I can see from my phone, Hapa, California, there's been an intervention on the water pipe, or somebody has cut off water in Nangata. You know, using that SCADA technology. But you cannot implement it with low pressure. Yeah, you'll have wasted a lot of, and it's quite expensive. So, save for where we have completely old pipes, which more of it will be leaking, increased volumes actually reduce non-revenue. If you look at Singapore, Singapore's non-revenue is what, 8%. They completely change the infrastructure every so often. You know, they're able to do it. Addis Ababa is at 37%. London is at 28%. You know, though London still also has very old piping, but they have the ability to do that resheathing that we're talking about, and they do it very often in their barrows.
Senator Mbogu.
Report is very good.
So, Governor, I was just wondering, since the biggest problem we have in the city is water, some neighboring counties of US are doing very well in on-source revenue. If you decided that you are going to work on on-source revenue for just 2 years, and all that money goes to maybe improving the water infrastructure network, you would be remembered as a governor who really solved the problem of water in Nairobi.
Yes, Senator, when you're away, I explained to them what we are doing to solve the problem of water, where the shortage will actually be resolved in a matter of 2 years. The deficit, already we've increased 140 million liters per day. And your colleague next to you said he is a recipient, that for the last 20 years he's lived in Karen, now is when he's getting water, you know, for the last 1.5 years. Of course, we are working on on-source. I don't think anyone is performing better than us on on-source revenue in terms of the percentage increment. No, last year I raised 12.5 billion, which was the highest in the history of devolution. This year that has ended in June, just a few weeks ago, we have hit 13.8 billion shillings as a county government. It has never been achieved. And every year we're having that increase. In fact, now that we've passed some legislation like the regularization of unauthorized developments, this year I aim to get 20 billion. And I know it is possible, because that legislation is what held us back. People who've built buildings, especially in Eastlands, in these old schemes, without having gotten authorization, we now have to regularize what they've done. That alone can get us to 20B, you know. And of course, as that comes in, we'll then be able to apply it in the right place. You know, when I see this issue of wage bill being unsustainable, I completely disagree. The PFM ratios should not apply the same across the country. A city like Nairobi is a service city. You want to see people reading your meters. You want people sweeping the streets every day. You need people serving you in hospitals. With a population of 7 million, how many nurses? I think even our wage bill is too low in terms of the numbers. The reason why wage bill looks high is because of low revenue. So your denominator is shrunk. I was with the mayor of Paris recently. Her city is a city of 2 million people. She has 53,000 staff. Nairobi, a city of 7 million people, has 19,000 staff. Paris, a city of 2 million people, has revenue, or rather their budget is around, if I convert 9 billion euros, should come to 1.3 trillion for Paris alone. Nairobi is 40 billion shillings. Yet we want Paris quality, and people are not paying their rates. So I'll come to you to request you guys to help us raise that revenue. Nairobi, we can get to 63 billion shillings if everyone just paid their rates and their rates are spread out in installments over a year. But you find very, very big people in very well-to-do estates are not paying their rates. I published their names, and you saw us even going to the Freemasons and whatnot. Now we have gone to court because the Rating Act allows us. If everyone just paid their fair share, the city would be clean, the streets would be swept, there'll be medicine in all our hospitals. But you see, people don't want to pay, yet they're the quick ones to complain. Recently, Chair, as I conclude, we had issues with housing. People staying in county houses for years without paying. You find somebody staying in a house in Woodley. The rent is 17,000 only. That is a house that is 3 bedrooms on half an acre. Commercially, it would be 200,000 shillings, you know. But you find that person has not paid for 10 years because of being protected politically. So if everyone did our part, we would be able to reduce this non-revenue water, and the city would completely, and you know, it's unfair for you to live in Lavington on your 1 acre, or for you to live in Runda on half an acre. You're driving your vehicle, you're not paying your rates, yet Mama Mboga who comes to town every day is paying her 100 shillings, or she's paying her 50 shillings. It is completely unequitable for us to move on like that. So we want to do a campaign to explain to Nairobians that you will get, the services you get are from what you are able to pay the city. And because we have all the plans, I want to do all the roads, I want to build all the schools, but money is the problem. Otherwise we'll be able to solve that. Though finally what would help us, Chair, is allowing counties after a certain assessment, certain county governments can actually be able to enter the, you know, the market, put in bonds, whether it's a green bond, without the limitation at PFM. The limitation there makes that if I'm to raise today a bond for Nairobi, I would only get maybe 2 billion, you know. Yet Nairobi, we know every year, equitable share will not go below 20B. I have raised Onso's revenue to around 13.8B for my city. So if I discount, if I get the present value of the next 10, 20 years, I can get 500 billion today to sort out the big challenges of such a city. So these are discussions the Senate needs to have, you know, on financing of cities. As we move towards now moving our rates into improved site value. Nairobi is the only capital in the world of its size that charges you rates based on an improved site value. Meaning, half an acre in Kileleshwa is paying the same as its next door neighbor with 100 houses and 100 water connections and 100 people using our roads. We must start changing that approach towards financing our city. That is how you will solve. Otherwise, no matter what you do, you will not sort out the problems of Nairobi without rejigging how you finance it.
Now, while you are on the issue of financing the city, I know you are a strong proponent of Nairobi being a county.
Yes.
Like the others. But from the statistics the clerk is showing me,
yeah,
cities which are metropolitan, which are being managed as metropolitan authority, have a lower non-revenue water.
I don't know the correlation.
Look at cities like Addis, you look at cities like London and the others.
No, London is a city. London, Sadiq Khan is elected by the people directly. I was with him I deputized him at C40 cities as the mayor of London and Nairobi, which is a network of 100 cities. There is no direct correlation. What you have you're talking about possibly cities that do not have as much democracy. Like Addis. Addis, they determine what they want to do, where they want to do. If they want your building, they move you. Because the land is all owned by the national government. The federal government owns all the property. If I want today to put a pipeline of water in Nairobi, I have to negotiate with people, I have to buy property. But Kigali, they will just say, this is the line you want to go, and they go. You know, if you go today to Friendship Park in that Addis Ababa, you find a place that was an entire, it was a messed up place, you know. But the city just decided, if you're here and you're building, move out. But I have to negotiate with people. I'm telling people, paint your buildings in the city. And they're like, why should we paint? Until I take action on 1 or 2. So we have a lot of democracy, you know, but it can work.
Yeah, the last one, and then we move to the last one.
Yes, because my governor is here today, and this was actually, it's been very, I mean, I've not been understanding Gava. I lived in a city council house, And within a month or two, if you know that you haven't paid your rent, you're chucked out. There's eviction, forcefully eviction. Na vitu zako zinachukuliwa, they are even taken to this other place in Dagoretti. But then why would it take so long, like 9 months, 10 months, you know, for any person, I mean, for them not to pay rent? Then number two, when you go to Ziwani and Jerry and, you know, those sites, by the way, I lived in these lands. I love Eastlands. I've never understood why they would even have makeshifts, whatever. And it's like, that is my territory. All them, you know, wamejijengea wenyewe, extensions. So that I would not understand, because then what is it going to take you for you to, you know, to resolve those issues? Na kila mtu ajue anakaa kwa nyumba yake.
I agree with you. The problem was political interference over the last 10 or so years. We've had leadership that is afraid to make tough decisions. So people would stay with arrears for all that time, not pay, bring their relatives, increase you know, the extensions, and nothing be done. The last 2 months, I have increased revenue from houses by 250%, just by enforcing. We've had to do evictions. We've had to, and that has happened in Karioko, in that same Woodley, in Jericho. And some people, it takes them to see their neighbor being evicted for them to pay. Unfortunately. Today, if you go to Jamhuri Estate, there is no single area. Everyone is up to date as we speak. If you go to Makadara, in all those estates, but people are now paying. And we're seeing, that's why we even were able to hit that record. So I think it's just political interference. Those days, the councillors or the MCAs would say, no, leave my people, they don't. But I've refused that. Everybody must pay their fair share. And now the place I'm going to in this financial year with the regularization is on land rates. This year, we're on land rates like white on rice. People must pay their fair share. We're the only city, or rather county, that has an up-to-date, so to speak, valuation roll. When we got into office, we used that immediate goodwill to engage with the Chief Justice to set up the valuation court that validated our 2019 valuation roll. All other counties are in the 1980s valuation roll for their rates. You know, so that's why we have a challenge with evolution. Now we're going to do our 2026 valuation roll that will be based on improved site value. The value of your house must determine how much rent you pay, because it also determines the utilities that you're using in that house. You cannot have somebody in Girogoro paying the same as Runda and you're next door to each other. You know, it cannot be. If you go to most cities globally, the biggest revenue source for urban areas is property taxes, you know. But we're scratching the surface as Kenya. Let me give you just one last example. I was with a friend. I'm in a network of cities. We're in a Harvard program, 40 of us. I'm the one from Africa. And so part of it, we were going through what is our subject that you want to work on. So this mayor tells me that she's very upset that she wants to do a stadium of $800 million, and her revenue is $800 million. So how does she? So I wonder, oh wow, that is a lot. $800 million is a lot of money. Do you know her city? I asked her, what is the population of your city? 150,000. A city of 150,000 people that has a budget of $800 million doing such things. Yet a city of 7 million people is scratching the surface because we just want to be politically expedient, you know. So these tough decisions must be made for our city to be able to finance. Once you finance it, you know, sometimes I do a small section. The other day on Moy Avenue Service Lane, you know, we just redid the walkways, put in the new bins, put in lights, and you can see people are excited and they're happy about it. That should be the minimum standard across the city. It can be done if we sort out the financing aspect in our capital. So thank you, Chair, for that.
Thank you very much. I think media, you have gotten more than you needed.
I didn't know good.
From water to housing to land, so many things. Let's go to query on unsustainable wage bill.
Yes, which is what I was answering.
Yeah, but let's just go on record.
The record, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the auditor.
Thank you, Chair. Unsustainable wage bill. The statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income reflects staff cost of Kenya shillings 7 billion, 100 million, 7 billion, 100 million, 920,698, and operating revenue of Kenya shillings 10 billion, 949 million, 295,622. The company's salaries were at 65% of the operating income, which is way above the allowable percentage of 35% by 30%, contrary to Regulation 25, subsection 1B of the Public Finance Management, County Governments, Regulations 2015. Had the company followed the 35% requirement of the revenue generated, staff cost would have been at Kenya shillings 3,832,253,468, resulting to a saving of Kenya shillings 3,268,667,230, which would be used to settle other companies' obligations. In the circumstances, management was in breach of the law. Thank you.
Governor, your response?
Thank you, Chair. To maintain and sustain the wage bill, the company has frozen employment unless there is no internal capacity, expertise, realignment of operations through decentralization of services for efficiency and effectiveness of service delivery in order to increase revenue. And we'll deploy technology for efficiency and effectiveness of operations, which will increase revenue and hence reduce wage bill percentage. When we're also seeking the tariff renewal, as the current one expired in June 2024, and it is not cost recovery. Chair, that is the response that we gave. But really, apart from freezing new hiring, which also now talks about your customer, your service delivery, the major issue is increasing the revenue and the income, because that is the denominator. We're trying to say this cake, we're sharing the pie, but not increasing the size of the pie. Increasing revenue and dealing with non-revenue water will reduce that percentage. Because if you ask me, we actually need more people. As we get the increased water, the increased sewer, if you look at what we're doing now along the Nairobi River and Mathare River, we might actually need more staff as we move forward. Remember, we have also the pyramid, where many retiring, attrition, is ongoing at a steady rate. Because a lot of the older staff were moved to Nairobi Water in 2004 from the City Council. So what we're doing right now as a county is we're doing a complete audit to see that we're structured properly in all departments at the executive, and we shall extend that to Nairobi Water Company as well. But really, it's to increase the revenue. There's no other way, because you can't fire people. You can't just go in and say above 30% to go home, because also that gives you cost. There's cost of pension, there's cost of letting go of people. It's not just that you can cut it off. You need to do it in a sustainable manner, Chair.
So that means in the next report you are going to see a drop in the wage bill.
No, we'll see an increase in the revenue.
Factors like attrition and
yes. So the percentage, you see, even if your numerator remains the same but the denominator increases, the percentage will be less, because we're way off. And that's why I'm explaining this 30-65% doesn't make sense for service cities. You see, Nairobi is not building an extra dam or how many kilometers. Nairobi is serving 7 million people. When you're serving 7 million people, people are served by people. If you don't see people outside on your street sweeping, how will the city be clean if people are not physically present doing that? I have 124 hospitals in the city. To actualize, for instance, Mama Margaret Uhuru Hospital in Dandora, Kariobangi North, I need a staff of 1,500 new staff. 1,500 just for one. Maduti alone has 1,500 staff. And you can see the level of service. We need another 3 more such hospitals. So if you're to limit our thinking to this PFM one-size-fits-all answer, then you will not serve the people of Nairobi. And which is why we say that provision, devolution was created because a one-size-fits-all approach was not working for our country. Not all counties are the same. And I keep telling them, you can't have the same solution. The governor of Lamu might need advice on maritime. I need one on mobility, you know, or one on urban issues that are different from different parts of the. So this standardized approach on 65, it will never be achieved. It cannot be achieved in a service county like Nairobi. I am sure the MD feels he is strained. Is strained by the number of people he has, the boots on the ground, you know, the marketers, the people doing dealing, the people going checking meters. We need more people. But for the record, that's the answer, the one I read. This is the one that you take.
Yes, Auditor, what's your comment, the response?
I think our query is based on the law.
So long as the law is not complied. Yeah.
We'll amend the law for Nairobi.
Let's start with the Mbogwa and we made an earlier request.
Thank you, Chair. Governor, we've heard you well, and you know where the figures are. But looking at these figures, the amount used on overtime is in the tune of 478 million. What is the justification of this figure, Bwana Governor?
Finance. Let the finance guy answer.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you have the answer.
Yeah. Overtime. Where you live, we have people to come at around 5 in the morning, every morning, to come and turn valves so that they can direct water to various directions of the whole city, because the water is not enough. Now, again in the evening, they must go around again, turning the valves. So you find those people are accruing overtime. Now, in recent times, you have not seen sewer overflowing in CBD. Anytime it overflows or somebody reports he is seeing manuals, the sewer is rising, we normally send the staff, even late at night. I'm sure you have seen people working at night. They are paid overtime, they are paid the night out, so that they can make the place more friendly for you to live. Go to treatment works. Our treatment works are not considered as a shift workers places. So those people who work at night, we pay them overtime. Okay, that's how this overtime accrues. So if we had more water in the system, you may not find that problem. If we had 9,200,000 cubic meters of water, 920,000 cubic meters of water in the system, that overtime will come down very fast, drastically. And also, if we had upgraded our sewer network, if we had managed to make sure the sewers are big pipes, all the water which goes into it, it flows without any hindrances at all, then all those overtime will disappear. You can imagine the way you normally sometimes come and meet sewer at Integrity House, Integrity Road around there in Jakaya, Kikwete, State House level. If we see it like now, take an example, this is ending to 5. I'll send staff there. After 5, I must pay overtime. Those are the causes of overtime. It's because our systems are overloaded. If I see a leak like the leak Mheshimiwa was pointing about, I'll still send a staff there. Go and address it, even if it is at night, to reduce non-living water again. So it's a give and take exercise. You may tell me let those staff not go and work to deal with that non-living water. Then non-living water goes up again.
So maybe even to add from where the governor was, if you had enough staff, maybe they would be working in shifts and the overtime would not be there.
Sure, but you see that overtime is very little money for
Compared to shifts.
compared to shift.
Good, Chair. Mine is I picked something from the governor that we cannot compare all the counties uniformly and looking at the laws. Then after about 13 years of devolution, then as it occurred to you people as Council of Governors that we need to do an audit And from the audit, then you can give proposals on what can be done, so that also, you know, there is no need for ourselves not to be realistic. You know, I think we are not realistic in some of these things. In fact, some of us were thinking in the past that Nairobi should not have been a county.
But that is all the cities, because when you say it should not be a county, it's still human beings who will run it. The problem is financing. Now, devolution is the biggest gift to this country. There's more than 10% of the population is in Nairobi. You will not deny them that gift. But what you need to do is to make sure that the city, and that's why you have the Urban Areas and Cities Act, and provisions even in the County Government Act, that says the capital city, which is a county but also the seat of the national government, must have a special relationship with the national government. And certain things must be handled in a special way. The amount of money for roads for me should not just be subject to a formula like any other county. This is a diplomatic hub. This is also the UN headquarters and also the city. So Section 6 of Urban Areas and Cities Act provides for that, and we're working towards that together with the national government, where we'll possibly do what we call a capital city, a coordination committee as well that I chair. The governor chairs, the deputy will be from the national government, so that we can coordinate certain things, you know. But what those with that idea have copied falsely examples of other capitals in the world. What happens is that when the most bustling economic capital of the country is also the administrative capital, many countries have moved from it, not removed it as a state. Like Lagos was not removed as a state. The national government went to Abuja, and Abuja is called Federal Capital Territory, FCT. Same thing happened in Australia. They moved to Canberra and created an artificial city. That is the capital. Same as Dodoma from Dar es Salaam. You didn't remove Dar es Salaam from the people, but you moved the administrative capital. Even Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, has no governor. It has no senator. It just has a mayor. It's a state. But it was created by amalgamating along from Virginia, Delaware, etc. They created land and created an administrative capital. So it's very different. And then many other examples.
I just wanted you to respond also on the earlier one. What plans do you have? You know, because I think that's an urgent and some, you know, it's something that needs a discussion.
I think a process started. There was the Mutava Musimi-led process when he was chair of budget in the National Assembly that was reviewing devolution after so many years. I think as a COG, we should also give our perspective. I had a bit of it from the chairman of COG during the State of Devolution address, because it's the wearer of the shoe who knows where it pinches. You know, being governor now for close to, 3 years now, 2.5 years, I can advise completely on the challenges counties are facing, on the limitation in understanding the law. Because when you think that the governor of Migori has the same challenges as the governor of Nakuru, you're completely wrong. You know, the kind of intricacies in different cities. Why should I pay my chief officer for roads the same as Vihiga County? Yet I'm trying to attract a certain different caliber. Because when my chief officer for roads in Nairobi messes up, the impact on the global economy is more than Vihiga or another county. Why should I have? So the one size fits all is the biggest mistake, you know. And I'll give you the final example. Nairobi has legal pending bills that were 21 billion. Legal. At least with my county attorney, we've been able to halve it to 10 billion pending bills. That 10 billion pending bills is because a lot of the work is outsourced to external lawyers. Yet, if the SRC does not insist that I pay a legal counsel the same as Nandi or Elgeyo Marakwet, I can attract the kind of talent that is in law firms out there and reduce that cost on the people of Nairobi. So what might look like an increment in the salary that I want to pay you what you'd get in the top law firm after 6 years post-admission is actually a saving of billions from outsourcing cases to lawyers out there. Every day you go, you'll find someone saying, I have a pending bill of 100 million, pay me 500 million. Some of them are ridiculous. Somebody wants to be paid 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. And I don't know, you lawyers, what it is. You have not built anything. There is no structure. There is no, it is to go and talk. Yet that money can build 5 stadiums. That money can build markets for our people, you know. So when I approached the SRC, and I wrote to the SRC, and said, on the issue of the legal, and I've hired now another 48 lawyers, advocates in Nairobi County. I'm now still haggling with the issue of the salary. By me increasing the salary of my legal counsel in the city by this amount of money, I will save the county billions in legal fees, which the Senate is always dealing with. So the evolution now needs to be pragmatic. Let us look at Mombasa. Mombasa has the potential of being our maritime capital in the region, bigger than Dar es Salaam. But it's constrained because you expect Mombasa to behave the same way as any other county. And you say the governors must have, 3, I don't know what, legal, what. What Abdul Somad needs is different from me. Lamu has the best natural port in Africa. The natural port there is the best in Africa. In fact, if you develop that corridor, including Lapset, you will turn the economy of this country on its head. But the governor is constrained by those issues. So I agree with you. I think we need to maybe bring some proposals to now take devolution to the next level. The first 10 years, I've set the foundation. Places that there were no roads, there are roads. Places that had no hospitals, now they have. But we now need to take it to the next level to achieve the true goals and intentions when we did the Katiba in 2009 to 2010.
Senator Eddy, the last question, and then we close.
Chair, the MD has talked very strong about the overtime pay. I think we should subject it to an impact analysis, impact assessment. Because if you look at it in terms of just the health of your cash flow, your salary and wages on a basic level is 3.5 billion. That means that your overtime amount is about 15% of your salary and wages, way above any other formation, for instance, of having rotating casuals, dealing with emerging complexities, or having what he was talking about, shifts. Okay? So, and actually, you ought to have commented on both overtime and bonus, because overtime and bonus are a function of your revenue performance, actually. That's how we call it. So it might look like 21 million is a small amount of money, maybe for you in the company, but it's a lot of money when you look at the financial health of the company, given the revenue that we talked about. So I wanted you to comment about that bonus of 21 million and what is necessitating it. But then, in as much as you have talked about overtime, I want you to actually do for us perhaps an impact analysis of what that shift looks like if you were to put people on wages, right? Not salaries, but on wages, and see whether you want to reduce this, or if you can work, if you can have those people on wages work on a shift that Mbugua was talking about. I think it would drastically reduce up until when your revenue makes sense. But for me, those two costs are very high, given the wage bill that you're working with. Then the last thing, Chair, perhaps the governor on his side. My question on bonuses and overtime is for you, particularly MD. But then for governor, perhaps when you're making your comments, may you comment on what Senator Kavindu had raised. It's a very serious issue. And the issue was the issue of customer deposits. And let me just try and capture something here very fast, Chair, if you allow me. Yeah, I've gotten it. If you go to page 27, Governor, that is, if you look at it as note 22, if you don't have the same pagination, note 22 of your financials, that is cash and cash equivalent, you have given a detailed analysis of all the cash equivalents with all the accounts that are operating in this company. And
the book balance that we're seeing here is 338 million. But if you look at note 27, you've got customer deposits that is about 1.2 billion. We are not seeing any operating account where they are, because if these are all the accounts that are running this particular company, then certainly the book balances cannot just be 338 billion, unless this is an accounting form that Mr. Mondi did, which would be bring us to the question: where is the account that is running the customer deposits? Because otherwise it should have appeared under that cash and cash equivalent. Yeah, so those would be my two. So, but past time the MD on the bonuses, what is necessitating them, and has there been an impact assessment that has been done with regards to the issue of overtime vis-a-vis other forms of variations, varying from the shifts, casuals, on case-to-case basis.
I'll answer the bonus and the wages. Thank you so much. I think Mheshimiwa, I discussed about why we accrue overtime. I see the overtime accrues because of various activities in our systems, which you cannot do away with. I give you examples of water rationing. Where you stay, we have personnel who goes manually to turn the valves very early in the morning, so that the way our water is structured, the rationing program, it is done at around 6 to 8, so that by the time people in some areas, we change valves in the morning and then change again in the evening in many of the areas, so that areas where there was no water, by the time you are arriving in the house, at least there is water trickling. Or if your area was not receiving water yesterday at night, in the morning when you are waking up, at least there is some water.
I don't mean to cut you because of time. I am appreciating the fact that those things are emerging. The question we're talking about in terms of managing cost is overtime the best way to address them vis-a-vis things like what are about shifts or casuals in some wages to deal with those uncertainties that come within operation. And my question is, have you been able to actually do those assessments? Have you tried a formula that is it scientifically driven? Is the decision for overtime scientifically driven in terms of cutting costs? That's the question.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Shifts and overtime we have analyzed. Shifts and overtime we have analyzed. We can share the report. Okay. Yes. Bonuses. Yes, we give staff tokens of 5,000 shillings every year as an appreciation for handwork. And a good example is the financial year which has ended. We were able to raise revenue by 1 billion in one financial year because of motivating the staff. Bonuses are given to motivate people. Thank you.
But I'm saying that if they want to motivate people and the company is not performing, it has got material uncertainty.
Standard practice is you give a bonus based on performance.
In performance.
In fact, when you make profit is when you give a bonus.
I think increase of revenue is performance.
I guess expenses.
Thank you so much. I think it's misuse of the word bonus. It should be token of appreciation. Okay? So it's a matter of English and the semantics. Or
it should be a Christmas gift.
Sure.
It's a Christmas gift.
It should be more. I promised the executive staff, if they were to hit 15 billion this last financial year, they would get their 13th salary. One more salary. Unfortunately, they got to 13.8 billion. Maybe because of that last week of Gen Z and whatnot, because then revenue doesn't come in. But it's proper labor practice. The SRC has a framework for recognition of so they
First, in no receive from and cash equivalents. You can pay, when you pay your deposit, it's either in cash, that's either you paid to the bank or M-Pesa, or you paid a check. That money will end up into the COP savings account, 011000001361400. What we maintain in this account is enough to pay the refunds as the customers are applying for the refunds. Any excess is plowed back to water service provision. Thank you.
So there was no borrowing from the customer?
No, that's
Pardon?
Was there any borrowing from customer deposits?
Yes, as I've said, we only maintain in that account enough to pay the refunds as the customers are claiming. As the customers claim the refunds, the rest is plowed to water service provision. As you've seen, the whole year it was 3 million. The previous year, the whole year was 4 million.
Chair, maybe what we should be asking the governor, the MD through the governor, is we have seen the cash for refundable deposits about 12 million. Then what you are saying, what is taken back to the system, is there a policy then? Does the company have a policy that allows you to use the customer deposits to enhance water provision? Because I think that is where the issue is. And because the law is very clear, you know, the auditor says you have to follow the law. And the reason why this thing is an audit query, I mean, it was not, I don't know why I didn't pick it. I mean, there should be a policy.
Yeah, it's in the PFM.
PFM.
But 5%, only 5%.
You can only borrow 5 and refund within 12 months.
Deposit, to be repaid within a year.
Thank you. We are guided by provisions of Water Act that says all funds collected by the WSP to be used exclusively for water service provision. There is such a provision in the Water Act. So that's what guides us. We retain what is enough to refund the deposits. The balance is plowed back to water service provision.
No, but you need to balance that against the PFM.
What would be the alternative? The money should sit in an account.
Yeah,
from 2004. You know,
that's why they say the law is an ass. You see, the auditors will raise that query because of that PFM requirement.
They have never raised that query.
I don't. We were wondering why they didn't raise here. Because in other,
even in any financial or in other counties, they raise.
Yeah, they raise.
Maybe we have a policy document. I'll have to look at it. The idea, you know, the sensationalizing that money from the customers is being borrowed. There's no such thing as borrowing. It is within the company it is used. You know, it's the same way you think in your bank that there is a shelf written of sorts with your money. You know, when you are saving, there's no shelf written of sorts that this is of sorts is money. But we know that you gave us a deposit of this amount. When it is due to be refunded, you'll always be refunded. And there's no one who has lacked or not gotten refunded rightfully when they need to do it. But it would be very unstrategic to just keep money sitting from all those years, yet people don't have water.
Actually, you know, 1.2 billion is a lot of money just to lie idle. You know, that is now one of the things that you as Council of Governors need to bring it up. Otherwise, you know, we will be left here discussing it and it will change nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even Chair, we should not also consider just wasting time.
I need to look at that PFM provision. I've not seen it. And we can propose.
Legal, can you read out?
Which one is that, Jeremy?
Through you, Chair,
yes.
The provision on borrowing by county government entities is under Section 142 of the PFM, and is friend together with Section 145 of the same PFM.
So that's borrowing.
Yes, on borrowing, yeah.
No, this is not borrowing. This is customer deposits that you are applying. Borrowing, first of all, needs county assembly approval, needs a national government guarantee. The deposits are not a borrow. Sorry?
That's the procedure of touching customer deposits. Unfortunately, that's a law.
Where?
That provision can help you.
That provision talks about subnational borrowing when the county takes a loan or an extended overdraft.
Legal, can you advise?
I know Jeremy was my legal officer for 5 years. I know him very well, Tabari.
No, but today you and Senator Kisang somehow just want the law to work the way you want it. The way it's written.
No, but also maybe when he reads the law, we need to qualify that borrowing. What does it really mean? Which borrowing?
Look at the definitions in the Constitution.
Can you help us? Borrowing? No, it's an internal borrowing.
Yeah. Does it say internal or external?
Just borrowing is defined in the Constitution.
Chair, that law provision begins all the way from Section 140 on the authority for borrowing by county governments, where the county executive committee member on behalf of a county government can raise a loan for the government purposes. And then it refers to Section 142 on borrowing by the county government now, where the county assembly has to authorize short-term borrowing by county government entities for cash management purposes. And then in the borrowing under subsection 1 cannot exceed 5%, and they must be repaid within 1 year. And then it goes on to, there is Section 145 on now the county government lending money, where the subsection 1, it provides that a county government entity may lend money in accordance with this Act or any other county legislation. So in case there is a county legislation on borrowing and lending on money by county government, then that can follow. But for the cases of borrowing and lending under the PFM, that is, those are the only provisions on borrowing and lending that are provided for.
Using customer deposit is not borrowing. That is the wrong reading of the law. That is using money. When you deposit it, what is the customer deposit for?
Yeah, maybe the auditors are here, they can tell us, because I've raised that query several. Mark.
Provisions, first of all, are drawn from chapter 12. Chapter 12 of the Constitution, Article 212. If you look at the implementation schedule of the Constitution, the articles are to bring to life subnational borrowing. And I remember because I did a book on it with ICJ. Those are the articles that talk about subnational borrowing when you're looking for a loan or an overdraft from another institution, external institution, not when you're using money that is within your purview as customer deposit. Now, what was the customer deposit for? Maybe we can hear from the auditor.
Chair, I was trying to look at the relevant section in the water services regulations so that I'm able to bring it to the attention of the committee. But the concern has always been that these are customer deposits, and therefore, yes, they can use them for operations, but the regulations I think had provided, I think we can try and research that with the RIGO, that they can use the VAT for a period not for more than 1 year where the funds are taken back to deposits, so that a borrowing period is not more than 12 months. Thank you, Chair.
With your kind permission, there is a provision on the water services regulations. That is on ring fencing of the water revenue, and it reads that pursuant to, this is the water services regulation 2025, where it reads that pursuant to section 130 of the Water Act, the funds of a county services provider and the revenues arising from the provision of water services by a county water services provider shall not form part of the general revenues of the county government, but shall be retained by the water services provider for its purposes. And then 2, any excess of revenue over expenditure at the end of the financial year shall not be paid over to the county government, but shall be retained by the county water services provider to be used for the improvement of water services within the area of supply of the county water services provider. And then 3, every water services provider shall establish and maintain a contingency fund into which it shall pay a portion of its revenues to be used to pay for emergency repairs and meet the cost arising from unforeseen occurrences which can disrupt the provision of water services.
What does that say? That just says that it just says money collected by the Ruby Water is not sent to the executive, which doesn't happen. In fact, if I was to, when we report on our revenue, we report revenue from the county through the CRF, hospitals. We don't report Nairobi Waters. Nairobi Water reports on their own. Others would be saying we've collected 20-something billion. But that other provision on borrowing is completely different. And you need to look at it. That's not borrowing.
Actually, Your Excellency, through the chair, if you go to the Water Act, section 191, it talks about all the revenues we receive must be used for provision of water service. That's all. And deposits are used again to offset debts with the accounts which are being closed. So the money is within our use.
Do you consider customer deposits revenue?
Yes.
Yes.
Revenue is money you received.
No, it is not revenue yet.
It is
Up until when you surcharge it as such,
No.
it's when it becomes revenue.
No, it's a
We
payment.
see it as a revenue.
In fact, it's a liability, strictly speaking.
No, it's not.
Just the way.
Anyway, we can have that debate for long. But I know that provision on borrowing does not talk. I know because we were there when we were drafting the Constitution. That is about how counties should get loans. And this is why I've told you we need an intervention, because counties, like today I want to do an infrastructure bond for Nairobi. Why limit it to 5%? Yet, many Kenyans, if I do a diaspora infrastructure bond for Nairobi, for Kenyans out there, they would rather send money for Nairobi to do infrastructure than just to send it to the village, you know? Now, if you look at Laikipia was only county in the last administration that was able to do a bond. But that bond was so limited that its access is still out there. No other county has been able to do it. So that discussion on 212 and on borrowing by counties needs to be opened up. Because the other thing, of course, is that the national government must guarantee. You must get a national government guarantee. And that's the example I've given you. I'm getting $100 million to do Northern Collector 2 and Maragua 4. But Treasury can say no. And yet I have the ability to pay it back.
Governor, this is within entities that are established under 182, 184. County entities, where you want to take money from those county entities for any other seen operational, need that the county sees, and it was put rightly so because so that you don't cannibalize. These entities.
Even if they want to borrow, even if the water service company wants to borrow, it must be passed by our county assembly.
But that one I get.
Yeah.
That one I get. But the borrowing within or among the county entities must be controlled in some way. So, for instance, if you took money
from where?
You as a government, for instance, can borrow from WSPs.
No, you can't. Why would you do that? That's against the Water Act and common sense. You can't borrow.
You can.
From your baby?
Yes.
No, you can't. I don't foresee a day you never want to do that. Borrow for what?
Anyway,
the Water Act says all money collected by WSP is ring-fenced for water provision by that entity. That is not an ambiguous statement.
Yeah,
it is very clear.
That's fine. I want you to extend that debate after the meeting. Because we've been here for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I think let's stop at that point.
Yeah, just one comment.
No, make it as a closing remark.
Yes.
1 minute for each member. Closing
Good.
remark.
Mine is 1 minute, Chair, and it is outside the water company. I have an interest around Kilimani area. And Governor, the Chinese have been there for close to 10 years. And before they came in, the roads were very good. But if you go through Kilimani, the roads are terrible. I don't know what you're doing as a county government. Before developments come in, maybe you assess the state of the roads, and then they restore when they complete these particular projects. It's terrible, Governor.
Even beyond that, because a lot of these contractors have destroyed the roads. First of all, we have just awarded all of those roads to restore them. We did Kindaruma Road. We're now doing Chania Avenue, Rose Avenue, Wood Avenue. All of those roads you will see in the next week or so work proceeding. But what we're introducing in our Finance Act is a levy on these concrete mixers and the steel trucks. But they just pay a license, because you can't say you will restore the road after you finish construction, because there will always be a construction, but you must maintain it during construction. In fact, if you look at the direction of travel, the road is bad towards the sides, because that is when the trucks are heavy, and they're heavier than the size envisaged. Like Wood Avenue and Chania, I have to do full reconstruction, because the problem is the base is black cotton soil. And so with the black cotton soil, even if you do the asphalt, when it rains and you mix it with this heavy weight, the entire road is washed away. You have to do it from scratch. So you will see action on that. And this is part of our discussions with the national government that have gotten now 2.1 billion worth of new road works starting now. In the next week or so, the awarding has been done. So utaona itakuwa sawa. Thank you.
Honorable Mbugo.
Chair, allow me to use my 1 minute to put the governor on the lawfulness on these compliance with the Persons with Disability Act 2003. Chair, the governor was a very able chair of the Labor and Social Committee of this Senate, and he was a very strong crusader of inclusivity. But when he comes here and we see that the employment of persons with disabilities at 14%, Governor, we are a little bit disappointed, because we know what you stood for then. Maybe, Governor, you can commit to this committee that when you appear in next year, this 1.4%, at least it should go up, at least even to 2.5 or 3%.
How do I do it? By firing,
when you are employing,
those who are
when
not
you are
disabled.
employing people, you should give them a priority.
We've not employed in the last 2 years. These are not people I employed. Actually, in 7 years, we've not had any new employments. 7 years.
But on
You know these percentages.
affirmative action, you can do something, Governor.
No, it's not possible because, Mheshimiwa, these percentages are not there. I'm the one who even put 30% for persons with disability in the law when I was an MP, 2015 Public Procurement Disposal Act Amendment. These targets are aspirational. You cannot come to now Nairobi and say now to achieve this, you will not fire people, or you will not hire just for hiring, because you still call me and tell me high wage bill, you know. But the aspirational that when you're doing a new recruitment, you know, you must consider that percentage is there, including even ethnic considerations. That, in fact, the law says that the dominant community should not have more than 70%. Of course, Nairobi, there's no dominant, community of that size. Because the largest community in Nairobi should be maybe 24%, the largest one dominant community. But I really, really support persons with disability and youth and women. In fact, all my waziris, part of their performance contracting includes what they're doing for youth, for AGPO, for persons with disability, and for women. So I take that observation. But even if you are the governor, it will be the same number. Because you're not firing anyone. You can't say, okay, everybody who is not disabled, I'll fire 100 of you and hire 100 persons living with disability. You can't do that, Yeah, but not enough to tilt that percentage. Yeah. So, I mean, I welcome the advice and the ideas. And we have them right from the top level of leadership in Nairobi. We have accommodated. And where I have done employment, I have made sure that we've considered that. Yeah.
Honorable members, it's now comments. It's
not
no more questions.
No,
yes,
it's not
comments.
A question, it's a comment.
Yes.
First, Gava, seriously, I want to say that CEO Muguna does his job right. That one I can commend because I have woken him up. I mean, I've spoken to him many times to work on issues, and he has responded very well. And in fact, one of our estates, at least they are happy with him. I also want to commend you at least for taking brains like Mheshimiwa Josh, Olum, seriously. I mean, those are, but Omoke, sorry. They're the people that at least you may need to work with. And Mheshimiwa, of course, he is my neighbor. And I commend you at least for you to utilize him. But Gava, we want to see the systems working. Of course, me as a Nairobian, I remember at one time my mother was a councillor and I saw guys even washing the roads with hot water at that time. When it was sitting in the sun, I saw the systems working. And I'm sure you're going to change the system. That's why I always wonder, why do governors have to be given, like one term and then vie? Because by the time, no, I'm finishing, Governor. I know it's of your interest. No, but it's because, I mean, you have left something that you may need to see it, for that 10 years, but then unfortunately that is it. But Governor, as Nairobi audience, give us also audience, I mean, Nairobi delegation, give us also audience with you. You see, Senator Sifuna was also complaining. Give us time with you. Call us bi-monthly or maybe, let's sit together, our feedbacks. We can share experience kidogo na tunaweza kukusaidia. So to be honest, for the last 3 years I've never come to your office because I've never had time with you. Hata sasa nimekwambia tu Gava nipe time, ukaniambia hapana sio leo. So mimi nakuomba let us have time, give us time so that we can support you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other?
Just allow me to remind Senator Kisang to just note the commitment I've given. Is on Agwins Kodek, 2.6 kilometers, the Ndemi Road, Cemetery Road, Rose Avenue, Chania, all the way to Jacaranda Avenue in Lavington, in Vagara Road, and Karandini. Those ones, you will see changes very shortly.
I gave you when I came to your office in Karen, just 200 meters, the one we agreed that you but now with Kura, it's terrible. So, and it's not going to my home, it's just my neighbors. And then what we are also saying,
if it was up to me, I would tarmac all the roads in Nairobi.
Give us also one day, maybe one Saturday every month to clean Nairobi for you free. Yes, you tell.
We've been doing it, Senator.
No, we have not seen it.
I'll show you.
Senator Siengo
on Sundays.
Thank you, Chair. I take this opportunity to appreciate the Governor and his team. Though I walked out along the way, to attend to another meeting, but I'm very sure that the issues were addressed and he is advised accordingly to do the right thing. Governor, if I may also mention, I'm also a Nairobi delegation.
Again?
Yes.
I thought you were
I come from Kitui, but I'm a Nairobi delegation. Actually, I fought at, do I disclose? In Kileleshwa, I'm a fought at Kileleshwa. And
Near Nairobi delegation?
Yes, I'm in Nairobi delegation. I only want to thank you for inclusivity. That one I cannot rule out, because actually I know of several campers that you have brought on board.
Yeah.
And as a person from Kitui County, I really want to thank you. Yes, some of my people working with you. Please do the right thing for Nairobians, as Nairobians, and do the right thing. Thank you.
Any other? I've been a member of this Senate before. Some of us just wear the hat of, once an audit query has been raised, it has to be resolved. And I think that what I've heard you echo a lot, which we empathize with, is where the law seems to be unfair to you and to the county government. The unfortunate truth is, for the auditors, for them to actually resolve those issues, and for us actually to consider those issues addressed properly and resolved, it is based on the current laws. The reason why I'm raising this is because if we don't go with them with the current laws, in the wishful thinking of perhaps augmenting or changing those laws in the future, they will still come out as in the subsequent audit cycle, they will still come out as recurring issues. So I hear you in a lot of the things we've discussed here, and I think that what I've learned today from our conversation is that we've got a lot of updated laws, especially the PFM, that needs to be adjusted. I agree with you on the issue of WASREB. I think I was the champion here on the issue of waterwork agencies. I wanted them cracked off when we discussed a number of things. But before all that is done, just let's make sure that we comply so that they're not recurrent issues in subsequent queries. But other than that, I appreciate your engagement for the last 6 hours that we have been here, and want to wish you well as you continue serving the people of Nairobi together with your team.
Thank you so much.
Governor, your final comments.
Well, really just to thank you, Chair, and the senators, the good senators, as well as the partners from EACC, Office of the Auditor General, and COB, and National Treasury, and of course your staff. Chair, I've been a legislator for 10 years, and I've chaired committees since 2013. You are an amazing chairman. Thank you for your stewardship and your wisdom. I think the only thing I'll say to the senators is that the calling you have is really, really important at a time when the evolution needs all the support it can get. It's a turning point. You know, at takeoff, it's the most dangerous time on a flight. It's takeoff. You know, the fundamentals have been done, the plane has been fixed, we're on the runway. Now is when the evolution is taking off. And this is when it can either crash or soar and fly. So we hope that we'll have more interactions and really to focus. And I like what you proposed, that together with colleagues, we can try to narrow down our thoughts based on the experience we've had on certain amendments to the law or certain changes in approach. And I've given you quite a number of examples, you know, that we would need for Nairobi. So thank you so much for your time. It's been a good meeting, Chair. Asante.
Thank you very much, Governor, and your team for honoring our invitation. I think we are humbled by that. But this is one of the longest meetings, actually the longest meeting ever, doing almost 6.5 hours. And members are still here because they are very keen to see better governance in Nairobi County. In this committee, we don't just ask questions, we also provide solutions. And on those indicated areas, like on issues of long outstanding receivables, once we get a schedule of your receivables, we will be able to act. Also, the issue of WASREP, we'll also be able to act. And any other issue that you feel that this committee can help, we'll be able to act. So we ask questions and we also help. And that is the spirit that we want to have. So you have indicated to us that you are making some positive steps in some areas. We want to encourage you to do even better. I've just come back from the city of Moscow, and I had an opportunity to meet the mayor of Moscow. And there's a lot that you can borrow from them in terms of city management. So that's an engagement that we'll have an opportunity to speak to you
We're
about.
twinning. I'm actually going there.
Yes.
We're the sister cities with Moscow. They
Yes.
invited us the month of August or September.
Yeah,
The same
actually
day.
October there. So I think this committee has tried to, through oversight, improve the management of water companies. And we are keen to see Nairobi Water also improving. The number of queries have reduced. And then in the last report, we had over 100 and something queries. But now I've seen the numbers have gone down, so the auditor will give us a report on the prior issues to see the status, whether how many have been addressed, how many have not been addressed. So the auditor, please prepare for us that schedule so that we can see the progress that is being made. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming. Honorable members, I must thank you for staying until very late on a Monday. It's not easy. So the meeting is adjourned until tomorrow at what time? At 10, yeah.